So I hope my audio is better today compared to yesterday. Yeah. So let's start with recapping what we have done yesterday. So yesterday we learned about how to set a basic, what's the basic architecture for Django, and how to create a simple web server and how to run it in your local host that we have showed you yesterday. So first of all, before starting today's session, I want to understand how many of you tried whatever we have done yesterday. How many of you tried in your personal system, and for how many of you it got worked, and how many of you are able to run the web server without any errors? Can any one of you comment on this? No one, no one tried. Okay, fine. Yeah, I heard some noise. Uh, is anyone talking? Okay, fine. Let me share my screen. Okay, fine. Yeah. Okay, if it's basic, then fine. Yeah, so if you can able to do it, if you have if you are confident that you can do it, then it's fine. So let me share my screen, and we will in this session we will learn what is Django admin and how to insert the data and how to write queries. All those things we'll be discussing in today's session. Can you guys see my screen? Okay, thanks. Yeah. So let's start with Django admin from today. So Django admin is nothing but it's a web-based interface. So where you can log in as an administrative user, and you can do all the things with respect to your database, where you can insert the data and you can view the data, you can modify the data. Basically, it's just a web-based interface where you can play with the data. So Django admin is by default provided by Django. You don't have to do anything from your side. So it is by default comes with Django. So what you have to do is you just have to create a user that can access the admin. So that's the only thing you have to do. So as I told, in Django admin, you can authenticate user, you can also provide so the interface is pretty much user friendly. So you will understand the whole thing with respect to database, how the data gets created and how you can read the data. All those things will be now. That I'll be showing in some time. So let me show you how it looks like. So this is the Django admin uh, login panel. So this will be coming up with Django by default. So once you create a user from your side, you can directly log into this Django administration web interface and you can play with the data. So that we will be having a practical session. I will show you how to do it sometime. Before that, let's discuss some theory topics. First, we will discuss authentication and authorization. So this is the main thing. Whenever you want to create any app, so you should be knowing all these terminologies. So first I will tell what is authentication. So in authentication, you will be checking whether the user credentials, whatever you have entered, that are valid or not. So it's just like whether the user is a valid user or not, so that the any unknown user cannot access your site. So this process is called as authentication. So here you're checking the uh, authenticity of the user, whether he is a valid user or not. So this can be done in many ways. The basic things what we'll be doing is by using username and password as a login field. So that's the basic concept. So there are multiple other ways also that we can discuss later. So after that, there comes authorization. So authorization always comes after authentication. So in authorization, what we will do is we will see like whether the authenticated user, once the user has logged in, what are the permissions that are available for a particular user. The permission in the means, suppose if I have to give an example, if you can take an example of Facebook itself. So once you enter www.facebook.com, you'll be seeing login screen. So there you will enter your credentials, username and password. So that process is called as authentication. So there Facebook is checking whether you are a valid user, whether you are a current user of the Facebook or not. So once the authentication process is successful, then you can log into the Facebook. So after that, so assume that you have created one group inside Facebook. Okay. And after that, you have added few members inside that group. And assume that if the added member, any of the added member, I'll try to access their add their friends also. So that is not possible because they are not admins of that group. Only you can do it. Because how that is possible? Because Facebook already knows that you have created group and you are the admin of that group. So there are two roles here. One is admin role and another is non-admin role. And for each role, the persona of the role will be changes, where admin can add multiple members or admin can delete existing members, he can remove the existing member. So these kind of permission will be associated with admin role. Whereas non-admin role, that means the users that got added by admin, they can only view the data. So this whole process is called as authorization, where you once you're logged in, you will get some certain permissions. So this whole process is called as authorization. So this will be determined. So this we can set it up in your app. So the whole thing will be managed by Django. Okay, this I will show you how to do it. Slides. Okay. Next comes, yeah. So user versus group. So before we start coding, so first thing you should know is in Django there are already few models will be built in that won't be that will be created by Django itself. So in those models, main models are user and group. I'll explain what each model does. So user model is the table. So models and tables are same. You can refer it. So in Django we call it as a model, and in SQL we call it as a table. So I'll refer model as in the slides. So in the user model, what happens is all the data with respect to the user, such as username, password, email, phone number, all those things will be stored in the user model. That you don't have to create. It will be by default, it will be created in Django that you can use to store the data. And this is the model that will be get used by Django's built-in authentication. So you don't have to check anything. Whenever you create in a app where the login is required, you can make use of this table to validate the authenticity of the user. Here Django will check all those things. Django will do all those things like checking the authentication of the user. You don't have to do anything. You just have to store the data at this table. And one more thing special is, so password will not be stored as a plain text inside this table because that will be a huge security risk. If you please remember, please don't store password as a plain text anywhere in the database because it's a huge security risk. If anyone gets to know this data, then whole user data will be leaked. So this is a big no. So you shouldn't store password as a plain text. So to do that, Django by default comes up with an encrypted password. So you don't have to do anything. In Django, there are multiple methods that are used to convert plain text to encrypted data. So Django will take care of that. So once the data is encrypted, no one can decrypt the data and view the original password. So it will be stored as an encrypted data. So that's a one more security feature that is added by Django. Okay, this is the main concept of user table. And let's go to group table. So in the group table, so as name suggests, this is used to contain the list of permissions. So as I mentioned before, for the authorization process, in groups table, we will be storing what are the different permissions that are available. That means what are the different roles that are available. Just now, as I mentioned, you can store, you can have data with respect to admin and non-admin inside the group. And the relationship between user and group is many to many. I hope you are aware of many to many relationship. That means one group can contain many users. Also, one user can go into multiple groups. So both the things are possible. One group also can contain multiple users. Also, one user also can be into multiple groups. So the relationship will be many to many. So the reason is one user can have multiple permissions. It's not like one user will have only admin level permission. There can be many n number of permissions, and we can associate multiple permissions to single user. That's why we make use of group table to do that. So the only thing you have to remember is user table will be used for authentication purpose and group table will be used for authorization purpose. So this model will be used for RBAC by default. RBAC means role-based access control. That's what I mentioned. So depending upon the role, you will be having some certain access at your app. So if you're admin, you will be having full access to the inside the app, and if you're non-admin, you'll be having only limited access. That will be managed by this group table. Yeah, I hope everyone are clear with respect to this concept because this is pretty much important. Before I move to next slide, I will wait for some time. If you guys have any questions, you can ask. Okay. So next table, slide. Yeah. Next comes Django ORM. So ORM, the full form of ORM is Object Relational Mapper. So I'll explain what ORM is. So ORM is nothing but it's just a Pythonic way to create SQL queries and manipulate the database. So here what happens is you will not be writing the actual SQL query like create table person, etc., etc. Those queries will not be written as it is. So you'll be writing the queries in Pythonic way. The same way we used to create models, right, in Python as classes, not as a create table command. The same way here you'll be also writing the query in Pythonic way. You'll not be using the actual SQL statements. This gives a lot of advantages to a developer. So this will be by default added by Django. You don't have to do anything. So I'll list out one advantages by one. So one huge advantage is, suppose assume that you have started an app initially with respect to MySQL as a database. Okay. Then after some time, you don't like MySQL. You want to switch it to PostgreSQL. That time what happens is if you don't use ORM, then what happens is you have to go inside your view and you have to change each and every SQL statement because SQL queries of MySQL and PostgreSQL are different. That's why you have to change literally each and every SQL query. So if it is a small project, then you can do it. But assume what if it's a big project and what if you want to switch your database in between? That time you can't do it because it's a huge, it will take huge amount of time. And also it's error prone. That's why if you use Django ORM, then you don't have to change anything. You just have to change your database. That's it. Django will automatically gets to know. So Django will handle everything. So Django, the way you will be writing query, even if your databases are different, will be same one. So this is a huge advantage for as a developer. As a developer for me, this will be a lot of time consuming. By making my database also, the entire code will be remaining same only. And the another thing is So if you want to write an SQL query, then you should know each and every SQL query syntax. You should be knowing the syntax of MySQL also, and you should be knowing the syntax of PostgreSQL, as well as SQLite, as well as MS SQL, as well as MongoDB. Everything you should know. But here you shouldn't. If you're not aware of SQL also, if you have zero idea of SQL, then also you can write query in Django because of ORM. Because if you know how to write query in ORM, then you can do it. You can attach any database and you can write query. This is also big time saving for a developer because you shouldn't have to know each and every SQL language. Otherwise, that will take a lot of time from your side, right? Because you need to start from beginning. You need to start exploring that SQL thing. To start mastering that queries, how to write all those things. It will take a lot of time. So if you use Django ORM, it's a huge time saving, and also it's pretty easy to learn compared to SQL queries. That I will explain in the next slides. And compared to development time also, it's faster because the joins, everything will be doing in simple commands. It's so simple and it's easy to read and it's easy to understand. The only this one disadvantage that we can think is, so sometimes what can happen is there might be a lot of complex queries which requires multiple joins across multiple tables. So in that case, if you are not aware of Django ORM, like if you don't know how to do it in ORM, then it will lead to some issues. Like you might create some wrong query, which will fetch the uh, corrupted data. And this can also happen, like it can affect your database performance, because in ORM, if you do some silly mistakes and all, it will be, you won't get to know because you will be writing in ORM, and that will be internally converted to SQL query by Django. So if you don't write the ORM queries properly, then it will lead to huge performance issues because your queries can take a lot of time than expected. So the main thing will be like you should be knowing ORM perfect. Like you should be master in ORM, and you can write anything. You can do anything inside Django. That's the only disadvantage. Yeah. Then our middleware. So as I explained yesterday, so middlewares are nothing but some hooks that are added by Django. So between request and response object. So as I showed yesterday I had showed you few middlewares like with respect to security middlewares, CSRF middlewares like that. So middlewares are few things where Django will validate the authenticity of the request and authenticity of the response between the whole request response cycle. So the middleware will be active once the request has come to Django, and it will be active till the response has sent from the view. Until that, you can do anything from these middlewares. You can do security checks, and you can do authenticity of the user. You can do authentication, authorization. All those things can be done in a middleware. So I'll show you how it can be achieved, the middleware, in a while. So, okay, let's start examples. Show you. So I hope you are familiar with the theory concept. That the same thing I'll be showing in practical now. Yeah. So yesterday you might be remember, like I had created one app. I had created one project called Bookstore, and I had created one app inside that called Book. And also remember I had created one model named Author. That means author table. So now let's start how Django admin works first. Okay. The first thing what you have to do, if you want to see the particular table in admin, the first thing you have to do is you have to go to admin.py. So there is a file called admin.py. There you have to go, and here they have given comment that register your models here. So the thing is, if you register your models in this file, then only you will be able to see that models inside the admin interface, web interface. So that I will do now. First, what I will do, I will import this model. Without importing, can't register. So it's book.models. What I'll do is from book.models import author. So book is my app name and models is my file name. So I'm importing from book.models, I'm importing author table. So after that, what you have to do is you have to add this command admin.site.register. I hope you are taking notes of this. Admin.site.register. Then you have to register your model name, author. So once you write this thing, that means you have executed, so you have added, registered your model inside the admin panel. So right now we have added, I have created only one model. That's why I have added one more, only one command. Suppose assume that if you have one more table called book that I will create in models. Let me create one more table called book. Okay, first we'll see what title of the book. Then see author of the book. So here, if you can see that, so we already have the author related data in this table. So what you can do is, so instead of creating all these things again, you can just take a foreign key from author to this table. Foreign key means, so here you are defining a foreign key field so that one author can write multiple books. So that is the meaning of foreign key. There is a one-to-many relationship from author to book. What you are doing is your foreign key. Foreign foreign key from which table referring it to? Reference to author. Okay. Then I will give null equal to true, because the reason I'm giving null equal to true means we are not entirely saying that all book objects will be having author. There might be some books for that we might don't have author name. So that's why I'm giving null equal to true. Okay. Assume that you have created one author and you have created one book in this table, and you have given that author. So assume that you have created author A and book B, and in B row, if you have added author as A, assume that there are one entry in each table, and this book belongs to this author. Like that, if you have created relationship, assume that you have deleted this author A from the table itself. Then what will happen to this book instance, book B? Because you have deleted the foreign key itself. Then what will happen to the book? So that will be defined in this argument. On delete of the foreign key, what will happen? What I will do, the set author null. So this is the meaning of on delete. On deleting of this author object, I will set author attribute of the book table to null. That's the meaning. Okay. These many attributes. Okay. Now, so you remember yesterday also when I created a author table, what I did is I migrated, I applied those changes to database. So here also now I'm going to inside my what I will do the same thing. Migration means I'm creating a migration file. So it's proper. It's created a model book, and after doing make migration, I'm applying those changes to database using migrate command. Okay, migration is also applied. Okay, that means your migration has successfully applied. Then what I'm doing is, so I'll be server, check whether everything is proper now. Able to start the development server, that means everything is fine. So you have created two tables. Now what you should do is, after creating this table, you should add this in admin. Here I import the book table also, and the same thing you have to repeat again. You have to register book also inside the admin. So this is how it looks like. If you have two tables, you will have to create two statements with register statements. Okay. Okay then. Yeah. I hope you understood anything. So till now, are there any questions, or shall I proceed? I can see. Okay, fine. Yeah, let me proceed. So you have registered the models into the admin. What you have to do is you have to create an admin user. So you have an admin interface. I will show you. Okay. So this is your development server. Now let's check how to access admin. So I will show you. Suppose if you go to your URLs file, so if you can see that there is already one entry in URLs file, which is created by Django itself. I didn't create it, created by Django itself. So the path is admin. It's pointing to admin.site.url. That means Django has already created this mapping, this site, to access the admin interface. So if I copy the same path here, you can see I am able to see my Django administration panel. So this is done by Django itself. I didn't create this URL mapping, but I am able to see the Django administration view, but I don't know the username and password to access this administration interface. So to do that, what you should do is create for user. That means you are creating a user from command line. So username, leave blank to use user. Okay, I will give some username. Admin user. Email address. This is optional, so I will not give anything. And password. So here you should give password. I will give test 1 2 3 4 5. Test 1 2. Sorry, user. Okay, so here assume that I'm giving only 1, 2, 3. You can see there is some validation by default in Django. So this password is too short, must contain at least 8 characters. Password is too common, and this password is entirely numeric because I have given only 1, 2, 3. So you might be wondering how these validations are coming. So this I have already shown you yesterday. In settings file, there is a section called auth password validator. So here you can see that there are multiple password validators. One is numeric password validator. The number this password is entirely numeric, getting triggered by this validator, numeric password validator. Triggered by this validator, common password validator. Getting triggered by minimum length validator. So I hope you understood how it works. So these are the different validators that are added in Django by default. So you should give a password which will satisfy all these validations. The option to bypass this validation also. You can disable this validation. You can create a user with 1, 2, 3 also. But I'm okay. So here you can see that super user has created successfully. So once you created your admin user, you can access the admin interface. The same credential. Yes. Okay. Yeah. So here you can see that I have successfully logged into my admin interface. As I explained before, there are two tables that are created by Django by default, which is user and groups. So these are not created by my side. So these are created by Django itself. And the tables that are created by mine from my side are here. You can see that authors and books. Now I will show you what happens if you don't register your model. Refresh the same page. Now see what happens. So the book is removed because Django Django admin didn't get to know that you have registered book. You have registered only author here, but you haven't registered the book yet. That's why you refresh it again, then you can see books. Okay. So this is the purpose of registering your models in admin interface. Okay. Now I have everything is set up. I have set up the administrative user and I have logged in also. So the next thing is adding entries in this table. Okay, now what I'll do is, so here you can see that 0 author. That means there is nothing in the database yet. So what I will do is I will click on add author. So here you can see that there are 3 columns. So which are similar to what your table it looks like. So here you can see that you have created 3 attributes in the author table. The same will be reflected here. First name, last name, and age. Okay. So here you can see that there is one entry, author object 1. That means I have created one entry in author table. Okay. And I'll create one more entry. Test. what is this, then you have to do this. So assume that I want to recognize table entry by first name. Then what you have to do is Django by default provides some special methods for each table. So this is one of that special method. So you have to write it like this only. You have to create a function called underscore underscore str underscore underscore. This is a special function. This has to be inside this class only. You shouldn't create it outside the table like this. Be inside the class. So you should create underscore underscore str. Self means because it's inheriting from the same class. That's why I have given self. And you are returning self dot first name. First name is the argument. This first name is the attribute of this table, author table. So you can return anything. Like you should return first name, dot last name, whatever you can do. Just for my reference, running, I've saved it. Let's so see. So here it's showing all the entries with respect to the first name. So this object I can recognize by this first name as Nikhil, and this object I can recognize by my first name Test. So it is not like a mandatory thing like you should give first name at all. You should give I can give age will be reflected here. It's up to you. You can do it. Open this and I will see. So here whatever the entries I have populated, everything is stored properly. Now if I click on this delete option, it asks for this. Do you want to delete this author object? So if I click on yes, then it will be deleted. Otherwise, it will not. Also, you can modify the contents. The last name from Hegde to H. That also I can do. You can add, click on save. So if I again access this object and check whether it's updated or not, you can see that it's changed from Hegde to H. So these are the different kind of operations you can do inside the admin panel. So here what you are doing is you are directly interacting with the data inside the database, but you are not writing any SQL queries. It's a form provided by Django itself. You are using form to create, delete, modify the data. But using this Django admin, you cannot write queries like extract the user, all those things, you cannot do it. But you can simply add user, delete user, and you can modify, you can do anything like delete the instance, you can add the instance, or you can modify the instance. These simple changes are possible in Django admin. But you cannot write like complex queries, like you can do join, you can't do join, all those things, it's not possible in admin. Okay, so now you got to see how to add the data. The admin. I will populate some data in books table also that you can refer. Please ask any questions if you get confused or in between. It's fine. Hoping that all of you are getting understood. So that's why I'm moving further. So now from author table, I'm going to book table. So here, the author is foreign key. It's not a char field. It's not an integer field. It's a foreign key. So that also you can check here. For char field, you always get a text box in admin. And for integer field, you cannot add any text like this. You can add only numbers. So assume that like this, you can add only numbers. So this will be taken care by Django itself. So here, since author is a foreign key, we need to fetch the objects from author table. So here also, everything will be done by Django only. So here you can see all the instances that you have added in author table. So you don't have to do anything. You just have to select which author you want to associate for this book, whether it's written by Nikhil author or whether it's written by test author. So you can choose Nikhil, anything, click on save. Yeah. So here also you can see if you don't do anything, it will be referred as book object. That also I will change. First name because there is first self dot title. Okay. Then once you do that, you refresh. Yeah, it's added maps. I'll create one more book called Science. I'll create some dummy entries. Let's see how we can play with the data. Okay, okay, I'll create three entries. Okay, so this is done. Now let's see how to write ORM queries. So now you have learned how to access Django admin interface and how to add any entry, modify any entry, how to delete any entry. All this you are already aware how to do it in Django admin. Now let's see how to write queries in ORM. Okay. Before that, I will show user and groups models, how it looks like. So here, if you can see in user table that admin user is already added. So you know, right, what is this admin user? This one is I had created using this create super user command. This is my admin user. So by default, whatever users, everything you create, no, everything will go to this table. So here you can see admin user is already created. And also one more thing I had mentioned, password will not be stored as a text, plain text inside the database. So here you can see that for admin user, I know that I have given password test12345, but you cannot view the same password here inside the admin view because it's a security feature by Django. You can see, you can read it here. Raw passwords are not stored. So there is no way you can see this user's password, but you can change the password using this form. You can always change the password. That is possible, but you cannot view the password. So you will not get to know that for admin user, the password is test12345 because it's already encrypted by Django. So this is the encrypted data. Okay. And here there are a few things, first name, last name, those things. This you can add or these are optional. Okay. And here there is a Boolean field. It is called super user status. So since I had created this user by create super user command, by default Django will assume that this user is a super user and this will assign give super user status to this user. Okay. Now you can see groups also. So right now I haven't created any group, so that's why it will not show anything. Okay, I can create any group and I can assign permission to this admin user. Let's create one more user. Get to that. I will give same password. I will give test 1 2 3 4 5 1 2 3 4 5. So you can create user from admin also. Also you can create super user from this command also. So both are possible. Okay, I have created that user. You can see reflected. So here you can see that super user status is unticked. This is a Boolean field. It can hold only true or false value. That means since I haven't created this user, I have created this user manually. So it will assume that this user is a not super user, admin user. It's just a normal user. That's why it will not assign any super user status to this user. But since I had given this command as create super user, is so inside this user table, so there is an option like what I did just now is whenever I created a new user, that staff status and the super user status will be false. So if I untick this user, and if I save it, so you can see that I will be automatically logged out from this administrator user because I don't have access to login. So if I log in from admin user, and if I change the status back to true again, then only I can able to log in to admin interface. So this whole process is called as authorization, the same way as I explained. So whenever I enter my credentials in the admin panel, that process is called as authentication. And once I'm authenticated, Django will check that whether this user has access to log into the admin panel or not. So this checking the permission, this whole process is called as authorization. So I hope now you are clear about the terms, all those things that I mentioned in the slides few time ago. So this is the actual process of authentication and authorization. Okay. Now let's move to the next topic. So this is how to write ORM queries. So to do that, what I did just now is the same way when you added the create super user command, right? The same way there is one more command to enter into the database, which is called a shell. What you have to do is Python manage.py shell, okay, which will open a terminal where you can write your ORM queries. So please remember, this is not an SQL query. This is the ORM queries. So Django will internally take care of converting it to the SQL queries. Okay. So I will show you how to write your first ORM query now. Please note it down. So now you know that you have already added few data right here. So you have already added few data in author table as well as in the books table. Okay. Okay. Now let's try to play with that data. Let's see how to write those queries. So before writing queries, I should import those models here also. The same way I imported in admin.py. So I'll do from book.models import author and book. Okay. So now I have imported my model. Now I can make any queries. So first query will be, please note it down. First query will be how to list all the objects, all the elements, all the objects of author table, how to do it. So this is the command. This is the ORM query to do that. I'll create a variable called authors, which will hold this output of the query. Now I will do author, table name author, dot objects, dot. Now if I have to fetch all the objects, then you should give all and bracket. So this is a function. So if you execute, so this is the whole ORM query, author.objects.all, which will give you all the objects from author table. Now I will execute and see it is executed. Now I will print what is there in authors table. So here you can see that it's all the output of ORM query is of class query set. So it's not any Python data type like list or dictionary, anything. So it's a special data type called as query set. And inside this query set, you can see that author Nikhil and author test. So it is which is correct. So we have added only two users, two authors, which are reflecting in our query. Okay. Did everyone understand how to write query? Or if anyone have your doubt. So this is the query author.objects.all to fetch all the objects from author table. Okay. Now once I got this, so now what I did is I printed how many objects are there inside author table. So now what I will do is I will print how many number of objects are there in author table. To do that, I will use author.objects.count. So the output will be 2, which is true. There are only 2 objects inside the author table. That's why it's giving count as 2. So this count will be used to fetch how many number of entries are there inside the author table. And all function will be used to list out all the objects of author table. Okay. So all these are different ORM queries. Author.objects.all is one ORM query, and author.objects.count is one more query. Suppose if you want to know the actual SQL for this, I will do that also. Yeah, you should print dot query. Okay. Okay, now let's execute the same query. Author is equal to author.objects.all. So once you print this, so you know this is printing the total number of objects in author table. Let's execute the actual query. Yeah. So if you print authors.query, this is the actual query, actual SQL query. It's executed. Select author.id and first name, last name, age from book.author. So this is the actual SQL query. It has executed inside the database. But you don't have to learn this query because Django will do that. Django does that for you. You just have to write author.objects.all. So from this, you can clearly see that ORM is pretty advantageous for developer because this is easily readable. Also, this is pretty easy to understand compared to this whole query. All of you, I hope all of you understand. So this concept. So now you can clearly see that why most of the developers prefer ORM instead of actual SQL query because it's easy to understand and easy to write. Now, let me play with this author's data. Okay. Now you got to know that how to list out all the objects and how to list out number of objects in a particular table. Let me do one more query. Now assume that there is one use case where I want to extract only Nikhil author. I don't want this test author. I want only Nikhil author. Then how you will do it? So to do that, what you should do is you should use author.objects.get. So this is the function get to get only single author from the author table. Please remember, get is used only to get a single object from any table. So here what I will do is I will pass first name, which is a column name.
in author table. I'm showing you the actual model also. So I'm querying in author table with first name attribute. Okay, first name equal to Nikhil. Okay, I guess it's capital Nikhil. Okay, yeah. So here what I'm doing is, so I'm going to author table and I'm trying to fetch one object from author table by using get function. And how you want to fetch that one object? By executing this condition. I want I want one object where first name equal to Nikhil. Okay. Now the query has been executed properly. Now I will print author. You can see that I have got the Nikhil object from the database. Now let's add one more data in the database and see how it's going to look like. So assume that there is one more author with same first name, Nikhil, and last name is different. I'll kill A instead of H. Okay, these two are different authors having same first name. Okay, so this author is having first name as Nikhil and last name as A, and this author is having first name as Nikhil and last name is as H. Now, can anyone of you tell me what happens if I execute this same query again? Can anyone of you want to guess? I don't want the correct answer. You can take a guess. What happens now if I execute the same query again? Can anyone of you want to try? Hello, am I audible?
Sir, you are audible.
Okay, fine. So anyone of you want to guess what happens if I try to execute the same query? If it's wrong, also it's fine. Please try to interact. So I'm not judging you, guys. Just try to interact.
So either it will fetch the first value it gets or it will throw an error.
Okay, so you are saying that it will fetch the first object or it will throw error, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, let's see what happens. I'll execute the same query again. So here you can see that it has thrown an error saying that get returned more than one author. It returned two. So now I have already explained get will fetch only one object from the database. So you cannot fetch more than one object from the database. So that's why it is throwing this error. Multiple objects return, get returned more than one author. It returned two. So now you got the reason why it is throwing that error, because get will fetch only one object from the database. Please remember. Okay. Now assume that now you don't want only one object. Now you want both the Nikhil author. Now what you will do? So instead of using get, now you will use filter. So please remember, get is used to fetch only one object from the database. Filter is used to fetch multiple objects from the database with this condition, first name equal to Nikhil. Now if I print author, yeah, now you can see that there are two objects having first name as Nikhil and both of them are written. Now I want to ask one more question now. So what if I want only one user in these two? What if I want author Nikhil H? then what should I use? Which first there are two questions. So which function I should use, whether I should use get or filter, and what will be the condition inside my get function. Can anyone of you want to try?
You can use objects.get last name equal to h.
Yeah, correct. Perfect. Yeah. So your query will look like this now. First name equal to Nikhil and last name equal to H. So now you can see that if I print author, I have got only one object, that is Nikhil H. So assume that, okay, now you have got the difference between get, filter, and count, all these functions, right? And all. So if you don't want to pass any filter, if you don't want to pass any condition, if you want to get all the objects, then you just have to do all. That's it. Now if you print author, it will give all the objects. Nikhil, test, Nikhil, all the three objects. And yeah, these are the basic functions that we will use in ORM. And there are many other functions also, which is not needed right now. These are the basic functions. And one more thing. So, and there's one more question. So now, you already know that there are two users with respect having first name equal to Nikhil. So there is one use case now. So I want to fetch how many users are there having first name equal to Nikhil. But I don't want to list out those users. I just want the count of how many number of users, how many number of authors are there in the author table having first name equal to Nikhil. So how will you do it? I just want the count in my output, but I don't want the objects. How will you do it? Can you guys guess?
You can either pass it to the length alien function if it support, or it may have some inbuilt methods like to get the length.
Sorry, I couldn't able to hear you. Can you repeat from beginning?
Yeah, like you can pass it through the length function alien, or if it doesn't support, you can cast it to list, then pass it through alien, or it might have some inbuilt methods to get the
Okay.
length.
Okay, fine. Okay, good. So yeah, whatever you have told, it's true, but it's not the optimized method. So as I explained before, so there is one function called as count that you can pass the same thing. So you can chain multiple functions together. So here what you are doing is, first you are querying in author table to fetch all the entries. Okay, having first name as Nikhil, and after that you are not accessing the objects. You just want to count how many number of users or authors are there. So you are using count method. So previously I had explained count will enter only the integer output number of count. So if I store this in author now, if I print author, it will show 2. So this is the optimal method. So whatever you had told earlier, that is also correct. I will show you how it is. So I got author, right? So I have stored it in author variable. I have stored this whole query set, like all the objects. Now if I do length of author, this will also return 2 only. So both the answers are valid, but count is the optimized method. So it will not execute any query, extra query. In the same query, it will be executed. But if you do like this, there will be one query executed at the beginning, and if you do length of author, there will be another query executed. So this is not optimal approach. But whatever you have told, it's correct. I'm not saying that it's wrong, but dot count, this is the optimized method. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Fine. Next, okay. Now you have got get to know the filtering thing. So assume that. So here in admin, you have added 3 entries. Now I want to add one more entry, but not through this admin panel. I want to add it through ORM. So how I can do it? I will show you. Now here I'm creating the entry in the author table. Author dot objects dot create. So there is one more function. You can take it. You can take a note for all this function what it does, so that it will be helpful for you whenever you want to query. So filter is used to fetch multiple objects. Get is used to fetch only a single object, and count is used to fetch number of entries, and all is used to fetch all the entries inside the database without any conditions. Okay. Now I'm using one more function called create. So author.objects.create, and I know what are the attributes are there inside the author table, which are first name, last name, and age. So I need to pass those names. So I'll pass first name equal to new, last name equal to user, and age equal to 45. Okay. So this will, what it does is, so I'm accessing author model, and I'm using create function to create a new entry with first name new, last name user, and age equal to 45. Okay. Now if I execute this, if I do this, yeah. So now you can see that there is one more new entry created in author table. The same thing if I fetch this. Now if I execute this query, author.objects.all, now you can see that there are 4 entries in this table. This new is also got added. And here also, if you refresh the admin page, you can see that new has got added. At the end, both the things are similar. Here you are trying to add from the admin panel. Here you are trying to make an ORM query. But the output will be same only. That entry will be get added to database. Okay, I hope you understand this. So you can do it through admin panel, as well as you can do it through inside your command shell using ORM query. Both the things are possible. Okay. Now I can delete this also here. So now I will delete this, and I will execute the same query. Yeah. Now you can see that new has got deleted. You can see only 3. So whatever change you do in admin will reflect in shell. Whatever changes you will be doing in Django shell ORM query, that will also reflect in admin. Okay, both are in sync. Okay, fine. Now we have added create function. Now I'll show how to delete through ORM query. I will create the same new user again. Okay. Now I have got this user. Suppose if I want to delete this user, now I should use author.delete. What it does is it will delete this user object. Yeah. So here the output will be how many number of entries that got deleted in this table. So there is only one entry with having new. So this got deleted. Now if I do author.objects.all, yeah. So here you can see that new has already got deleted from this. Okay. So now we have learned count, all, filter, get, create, delete. Okay. Now I will show how to access individual attributes. Okay. Let's see that author.objects.all. Okay. Now I have got 3 objects. So can anyone of you tell me, I want to print the first name of each and every author object. How should I do that? So here you can, so assume that I don't want to print first name. I want to print age of each author. So here you can see that I am not able to see the age of any of the author. I'm seeing only first name. So if I have to print only age of each author, how should I do it? Can anyone of you guess? You can say anything, no issue.
You can use like objects dot get, then the filter method, then dot edge. I think that should work.
Okay. I'll try to do the same thing, whatever you have told. Let's see what happens. Now you have told dot h, right? Like this,
Yes.
correct? Okay, let's print. Okay, so here it's saying that query set object has no attribute age. Okay, I'll explain why this error is coming. So the reason you can't do this because this is list of objects. So it's like a list. Basically, the query set will be equivalent to list. I will show you how it looks like. So this is equivalent to this. So you can assume that for now, author is equivalent to my list. So now can you tell me how should I print each item of this list?
Then you can just loop through the query set and then print the edge.
Correct, correct. Yeah, you should do that.
Okay.
So
Also,
whenever
the
you have a
previously I
query
said
set
like
of multiple objects,
you can use objects dot get and then dot edge, not like on the whole query set.
okay. Fine. Yeah, I will show you what is the output of that also. Yeah. Thanks for answering. Yeah. So now I will show you. So assume that both these are similar. Now, if you want to get all these items, individual item, what you can do is there is no need to execute get query to fetch the individual object because you already have that object in this variable. What you just have to do is you have to iterate through it using for loop. Now we'll do for just a minute. I will store it in author. Okay. Now what I will do is for each author in author's query set, I'm iterating through this list of query set. Okay. Now if I inside this loop, first item will be this object. So the reason I'm saying to avoid this get query because you already have this object inside the for loop. So there is no need to do one more get query because you are optimizing the database calls here. You can do get query like inside this for loop you can do one more get query to fetch this data. But the reason I'm avoiding this is because you already have this author object.
Yes, sir. I
Because
was
if you do
saying
get
that
call
if
also,
I was saying if we did not run the get, I mean object dot all, then we could have done like object dot get single item. Then yeah.
Okay. Yeah, okay. Now I got it. Yeah, correct. So yeah, but the issue is there you have to run
Run
three
multiple
queries,
times.
three separate get queries.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the advantage is so in a single query you are getting all the objects here. That is that's the advantage. So you can do
Yes,
these
sir.
things in multiple ways. I'm not saying that whatever you have told is wrong. Yeah, it's correct only. But at
Yeah, but
the
it is
end,
more
your ultimate goal is
feasible
to
to
save the.
like use all and then loop. It's more feasible.
Yeah, correct. So at the end, your end goal is to be reduce the number of database queries. You should have to fetch. You should fetch all the details in a single query. Like as many as lesser queries is better because that will save database calls. Okay. Now, yeah. Now I hope you understood why I'm using all instead of get. So now what I'm doing is I'm trying to iterate through each object, and I am printing. So I just want to print the age of each author. So what I can do is author is an object. I can do author dot age to access this attribute. Yeah. Now you can see that I'm able to access the age. In the same way, you can print the other attributes also. Author dot first name author dot last name. This also I can do. So here you can see that I'm getting each and every details of the whole table. So I'm getting first name as well as last name as well as age. So this is the way you should iterate through query sets. But let's see one more example now. So assume that instead of author.objects.all, I will write this way. Get. Okay. So here I'm getting only one object, which is author Nikhil. So now can you guys tell me how to print the age of this author? What should I do?
author.age.
Okay. Let me try. Yeah, perfect. So the reason here I am not iterating through for loop because I'm not doing this step because this is a single object. You can see that there is only one object. It's not a query set. So here you can see that the difference is this. If you use filter, you will get group of objects. But if you use get, you will get only single object because that's the function of get. Get will always ensure that it will return only one object in the output. That's why there is no need of for loop here. So you can directly print author.age, author.first name, and author.last name. Okay. So this is a simple thing. So if you use get, no need to iterate through query set. That's why that is the meaning of the query set here. So query set means it's a list of objects. That's what we call it as query set. If it is a single object, then we won't able to see that query set here. It's just a single object. Okay, that's the only difference between filter and get. Okay, now now we have got to know all these things, how to access the attribute and all. Now we have done most of the things with respect to author table, right? Now let's do the same thing for books table also. Okay. I have already imported that, I guess. Okay, I have imported. Now let's create one book. Okay, first we have created already some books, I guess. Let's see how many books are there. Okay, there are 3 books already. So this query book.objects.all will list you all the books. Okay, yeah. And this count query also will give the same thing, count. Okay, 3. So this is similar. The only change what you are doing is you are querying in book table, not in author table. Only your main table name is changed. That's it. But the whole other thing, everything remains same only. Please keep in mind. Okay. And here also you do the same thing. Filter. You can do filtering. Filter title equal to science. So if it will do, so there is only one object with respect to having title science. So you have got books. And it's a query set, but you have got only one object. Now if I do books.count, it should return me 1. Okay, yeah. But if you want to iterate through this object, now you can't use books.title. The reason being, it's a query set because you have used filter. Whenever you use filter, you have to iterate through the query set. You cannot access, even if the number of objects are only 1, you cannot access that title directly. For that, you need to do the same step again. For book in books, print book dot title and book dot number of pages. Yeah, number of pages. Yeah. So even if it's a single object, since it's a query set, you have to iterate. But in the same way, please see the difference. If I, instead of filter, if I use get here, if I use get books like this, so see the difference. Here it's a query set, it's not a query set here. And if you use books.title here, you will get the error that query set object has no attribute title. But if you use the same thing for get, you can easily access. Yeah, this is the main difference between filter and get. I hope you understand. Okay. Now, there is one more question. So now you can see we are able to print, let's see, books.objects.all. Okay. Books. Now I have printed all this information. So see, now I have printed number of pages and title. But now I want to print author also. Author, first name of each author of each book. How should I print it inside this loop? Yeah. Can anyone of you tell me how to print the author's first name? Any guesses? Okay, I will only give some few options.
Author dot last name.
Okay, book dot author dot
First name or last name, whatever.
okay, like this. Is it fine? Whatever I have written, or do you want to make any changes?
Actually, I
Hello?
don't know what book dot author will return. So if you can
Yeah,
put that.
even if you don't know, it's fine. You can just take a random guess. That's fine. You don't have to know all these things because that's why you have joined this workshop, right? You can take a guess. Anything is
Yes,
fine.
I think it would work.
This is fine, right?
Yeah, either this should work or else if or we may need to index that. I mean, if author returns something like a dictionary or something like that, we may index. So depending on what book dot author returns, we can use
Okay.
first name according to that.
First, I will show you the output of book.author. Then you can tell me how to write. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So here you can see that it has written me the first name. Okay. Now I want to return the I don't want the first name. I want to return the last name of book.author. How should I do it?
Okay, then you can just use book dot last name because it is returning the str method, like book dot author return the str. So in the str you return the first name. So it is returning that. So I think you can use
Okay.
author dot last name and it will return
Okay.
the last name.
Yeah. Perfect. Yeah. So yeah. So whatever you told is correct. Nice. So yeah. So the reason I'm doing dot because so if you see all this book dot title, book dot number of pages, these all are char field and integer field. So I can directly parse it. But in case of author, it's not any character or an integer. It's a foreign key. So what happens is, so if I try to print type of each of the variable, you will get to know. Yeah. So here you can see that book.title is char field. That's why the class is string. And book.number of pages is integer. That's why class is int. But here you can see that book.author is an object. It's not a string. It's not an integer. That's why the class is models.author, because we have given a reference to foreign key author. So from this table, that's why it's referencing models.author, author table. That's why this is an object. So that's why if you want to get any information from the object, again you have to give dot and give the attribute of that. So book.author will point to this table. No, it will not point to the book table because it's a foreign key. Since it will point to this table, if you want to get any attribute from this table, you need to again dot and access that attribute. So now if I do book.author.last name, yeah, here now you can see that the type is string because I'm not accessing the object directly. I'm accessing the last name attribute from this book.author object. Got it? This is how you should extract the information from another table. Yeah. So this is the ideal way to print parse the foreign key. Now you can do anything. Book.author.last name. Once you get this book.author object, now you can play with it. You can do anything. Book.author.age also you can print. You can do anything. Okay. So this is the way you should parse foreign key. Got it? There is a one-to-many relationship between book and author because one author can write multiple books. That's why whenever you get author object, you should query in author table. Now you shouldn't do like book.author.number of pages. If I do like this, I'll show you what happens. See, it's saying that author object has no attribute number of pages because author object has only these many attributes. It doesn't have any number of pages or title.
Okay,
anything.
so if it were a many
So
to
once
many
you,
and the author had an book field referring to the book class, then we could have done like books dot number of pages and it would have written that, right?
yeah. So right
If
now it's
you
a
want
foreign
to
key,
go
right?
like the long
That's why you
way,
can do
then
like this.
yeah.
Yeah, correct. So if it's a foreign key, you can parse it like this because book.author is always a single object because one-to-many relationship is there. But if it's a many-to-many relationship, now we cannot use like this. That I will explain it a bit later. Okay. Now let's see what else we can do. Okay. Now let's create one more book instance. So now you already know, right, how to create book instance. So because I have created author. So can you tell me title equal to test? So can anyone of you guess whether it will create the object inside the book table or not? And if it creates, why it will do? And if it doesn't create, what is the reason it doesn't create the object? Can you answer? Whether it's a valid query or not?
So I think it's a valid query because if I remember correctly, we didn't put any primary key in the model, right? So
Okay. So you are saying that it's a valid query, right?
yeah, I think so.
Okay. Yeah. Let's try to execute now. You will get to know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it has thrown an error because cannot assign Nikhil to book.author because book.author must be an author instance. The same reason what I explained just now. You can assign integer to integer field. You can assign character to character field. But here, if you can see that it's not a character field or any integer field. It's a foreign key. So you cannot directly add like author equal to Nikhil. You cannot assign any string to author because it's an object. That's why it has thrown that error. Cannot assign Nikhil to book.author. It should be author instance. It should be an object. That's why what you have to do is you should always fetch that author object which you want to assign. So author dot objects dot get. So please remember here I'm fetching only one object. That's why I'm using get. I'm fetching. Okay. So now you can see that now I have got this object. So this is the whole object. You can see type of author book.models.author. Now I have the whole object. Now what I can do is instead of giving author equal to Nikhil like this directly, like giving string, now I can give author equal to author because my author variable already has this author object. Now it will execute this query. Yeah. Now we can see because it's a foreign key. Since it's a foreign key, you cannot assign string directly. Even if it's a primary key or a secondary key, anything, you cannot do that because it's an object, foreign key. That's why you should fetch the author object before by querying in author table. Then only you can create book object. Without fetching the author object, you cannot even create book object because author is foreign key. But there is one more case is possible. Since I have given condition as null equal to true, I can do like this. Author equal to none. Okay. This will execute because I am not assigning anything to author. I am leaving as it is. Author will be null. So I'm creating a book called test without any author because I have added this condition in the database level only. It can take null values, null equal to true. That's why I have added author. Even if I don't fetch any author object, even if I add author as none, it will work because I have added null equal to true condition in the table itself. Okay. So there are only two cases possible. Either author should be none or it should be author object. But it cannot be anything like this. This is not at all possible. Okay. Since it's an object, either it should be an object or it should be null. So whenever you have to create that object, you need to fetch the author object, then only you should create book object. Now let's see how many books we have. Books. Okay. Now we have created two test books, one with author and one without author. Now, now let's make query in this books table. Now I want to fetch books, all the books having, I want to fetch all the books having no author. How should I do it? So ideally it should give me output of only this because it doesn't have any author. All the other books have author. So to do that, what you should do is you should query with author directly because you want all the books having author as null. So to do that, what you can do is you cannot pass like this. Yeah, so you can pass like this. So if you give books.objects.filter author equal to none, now you have got whatever you created just now that you have got. Okay, but assume that Let's take a reverse scenario. What if you have to get all the book objects which are associated with one author? That means you want to fetch all the remaining 4 objects. You don't want this book. Then how will you write it? Can you guess it?
Null.
Can you anyone of you guess
Not
it?
null.
Not null. But how will you write it? Not null.
Not space none
Like
or
like this.
yeah, small n.
Okay. Throwing invalid syntax. Because none is a keyword, right? So you cannot change this. So in this case, what you should do is, I will show you. There is one workaround is there. So what you will do is, first you will fetch all the objects of books. Now you see, I have 5 books, but I don't want the book which is having author, no author. I want only the remaining 4. So instead of passing it as not none, the other thing what I can do is I can use exclude function. Exclude author equal to none. So the meaning is, first I'm fetching all the objects of books, and from that object, like in these 5 objects, I'm excluding the book object which is having no author. Now if you print it, I have got only 4. You see books.count, it has given me 4. So this is a workaround you should do. Because you cannot pass not none like that directly. That's why you have to fetch all the objects first. From those objects, you need to exclude this object. This is like you have fetched 5 objects at the first beginning. Now you have excluded one object which is having author as none. That will give you 5 minus 1, 4, like this. Like this. Yeah, so okay, now we have already reached the time limit. So I'll wait for
Excuse me,
next
sir.
couple of minutes to, yeah, hello.
Sir, I am having a doubt like
Yeah, please.
how can we get arrows where it is based on the page numbers, like within a limit, the range. How can we use the range?
Range in the sense, I didn't understand your question
Like
entirely.
example, we
So
have an
what you want to
attribute.
get?
Like example, we have attribute page numbers. What if we want the page numbers should be between 20 to 30 or and only those books I want.
Okay. So if it is paginated, how do you want middle pages, like 20 or 30, like that, right?
Yes, sir, between 20 and 30.
Yeah. So for that, what you have to do is you have to paginate the query set first. So these things and all I will be covering in tomorrow's session. So maybe I will explain it tomorrow only. So I'll take this question and I'll explain it tomorrow. Once I explain the pagination concept, then only you will get to understand. Otherwise, if I explain it now only, then you might not understand it. So I'll take that a question tomorrow session and I'll explain by tomorrow. Okay.
Okay, sir.
So in tomorrow's topic, I already have pagination concept. While explaining that concept, I will explain this also. Okay, are there any other questions? So whatever we have done today, so all the ORM queries you have understood, right? Or are there any doubts with respect to these ORM queries, how to fetch the data, all these things? Okay, fine, thanks. Mm,